So, do you see the entire screen? I don't actually know what is being shown.
I do.
Okay. Okay. My first question was about the way I'm basically making all of these CMOSs, or all of these PMOS and NMOS individually. Currently, the way I do it is I go to 1 second. The sharing thing is sort of in the way of the LTSpice menu. How do I? Is there a way of moving the menu off to the side or something?
Usually, I think you can grab it and drag it.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, thank you.
You have the model set for the transistors?
So the way I've been doing it is this dot model thing, and then naming it something like nmod1, for example, like it shows in the lab manual, and then going on here and grabbing something like this, placing it down, and then for the renaming step, this is something that I had trouble with. Do I just control click and put it in this here?
No,
or
you put it where it says PMOS, but you can actually just right click on PMOS, so not even go there. Okay, like right click on there, and then just change it there.
And that works as well. Okay.
Yes.
Because the spice model, I don't have to change anything about that.
Nope.
Okay, so all of these I've been doing like that. They do work, but I guess it's probably easier to do it the other way.
Okay. Yeah, it should go in the other position.
Okay.
That was yeah. So that was the first thing. If you had questions about whether this worked, something about how it behaves, the first thing is just make sure that they're connected with this information that tells the simulator how they behave. So it looked like the name was put in a different place than it should.
I've because I've been doing it like this the whole time. I've only been doing it like this, but I've been seeing that it does work in the spice model. I guess it probably also works here. It just doesn't like it when they're both populated. Because if I do it like this, okay, and then I run it, it gives me. Oh no, actually, yeah, it gives me an error of an unknown parameter. Wait, which one was it? Was it P1 that I just added?
Looks like up top.
Yeah, this one. And I delete this one. Yeah, so it just doesn't like if they're both populated, but I can, yeah, I could just choose one or the other. Anyway.
Okay.
My other question was about like sub-assemblies. I don't know what they would be called in LTSpice. Something that I could put something like this CMOS into a single place, so it's more easy to use when these circuits become more complicated.
Like a symbol?
Yeah, I guess. So how does it work?
Should I just go ahead, everybody?
Yeah, sure. Let me.
Okay. So just go ahead and save draft 9 as something else.
All right.
Okay. Might be easier if okay, so I'll bring up my LTSpice here. But if you save your whatever it might be, I'm gonna, since I can't see yours anymore, I'm gonna do a quick one over here. So either save that circuit in another schematic.
Should I save it as a .asc or .cir?
How about I'll just share my screen and do a quick version of it. How about that? Okay, so we'll make a really random circuit. And you know, the model, if you make a sub-circuit, if you make a symbol, you don't have to put the model file inside the symbol if you have it at the top level. So if I make a symbol for this and then I use that symbol in another schematic, as long as I have the model file in the other schematic, it'll be happy here.
I still have to change the name to the correct name though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was like an n mod 1 or
yeah.
something. Okay. So do that, and then you need to tell, when you're making a symbol, you need to tell it what the pins are. So let's call this like VN, and then you need to tell it, the symbol maker, that it's an input. So I went up here to the naming icon here, named it VN, changed the port type to input, and then just dropped it on there. And then I'll do a second one, and I'll make this one output. We'll call this like I out or something, and drop that on there. And then, if I'm remembering correctly, view. Okay, open the sheet symbol. So if you want to be really lazy, you can just go to hierarchy and say open the sheet symbol, and there's no symbol yet. So if you click on this, it says I couldn't find the symbol. Should I generate one for you? And you just say yes, and it creates it for you.
And it just has these pins mean these different things. For
Yes.
the I out pin, the way it is right now, it's technically a voltage, right? Or is it?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, it's just that pin.
Yeah, really what this did is it's just a transistor, but I grounded the source.
Okay.
So it's not much of a circuit.
And these are these .asy files that you get.
Exactly.
Tina, say you use this down the road and you forgot what's inside the box. How do you kind of relook at that?
So let's do another schematic. And now if you come over here, hopefully. So maybe I created it there. Did I call that last one draft 3?
Oh, wait, you get it from the component list?
Yeah, so I made this, created a symbol, and it just so happens that the last schematic I worked in was in my tutorial folder. So when I go to, I've lost my new schematic, so just do that. Go over here, and it will have added the path to wherever your schematic was. That's where the symbol will be put.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
So click on that, and then you can drop this in. And if all the paths, so now I just grabbed it out of that library, so everything should be good. But if I right click on the symbol, there should be 2 buttons here. If one of the paths is broken, there'll only be 1 button. If it can't find the symbol or the schematic, then both paths will be broken, but you have the symbol in your schematic. So it'll always find the symbol, might not find the schematic. And then you can just go click and open that schematic.
That's useful. Now I can just make a CMOS schematic, for example, or a shift register. All right, cool.
Yeah, and these are kind of ugly, so you can, I've lost all my, I have about 40 windows open here. No idea where I created that symbol, but yeah, you can go to the symbol view and create a prettier one. So let's see, draft 3. Oh, I don't know. Okay, so this, I can also go to, where was the file, new symbol? So that one was automatic and it's easy, but it's friendly, it's easy, it gets all the paths right. But if you want to make your own picture, you can go over here to new symbol. And I'll show you, using the other way is often the safer way. But if you do a new symbol, then you can go and you can draw like a rectangle. And then the most important thing to draw is a pin. Uh-oh. Well, if you click P.
Wait 1 second, I'm on create new symbol. Okay, I was just editing the thing. I'm on create new symbol.
Okay.
So you say the most important thing is, well, okay, so you can make it a shape?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. People in like my 307 class made these fancy NAND gates, and you know, they were beautiful, but I don't have the patience for that. But yeah, you can draw arcs. I forget exactly how to do it. I think you click it and then you drag it to open it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can make arcs and circles and lines.
Then where do we put the pins?
So the pins, add pins. So you can click P or you can click here. And the reason why I do the pins first is afterwards, just to make it pretty, I'm going to draw a line, but the lines only go, the pins only go in certain positions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you draw the line first, then sometimes the pin doesn't connect to the line.
Yeah.
But you have to use this exact same names as the
ports.
Yeah. And if you say bottom, that means that the pin goes on the bottom of your so I just called it V in, and then I clicked bottom. That means the pin is below the label. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay. Yeah, I see why you would. I drew a little thing with lines, but yeah, I definitely will delete it and draw it again because they're much too small for the pin size. Add pin. What do I call the other one? VCC.
I didn't realize you could continuously do lines. That's a new thing.
Oh, I see. You don't need an extra pin for ground in any of these cases?
No, because we put that inside the symbol.
Pin.
And I've kind of forgot what the draft 3 AS. Okay, close. So if you're gonna use this as your symbol, then you wanna save it as draft 3. Oh, it's already ASY. I think it's in the wrong place now, but I can't remember where. Spice. Nope. Yeah, I don't remember where I'm supposed to save it, but you'd have to save it with the same name as the schematic and in the same folder.
I see. The same name as the schematic. So let me change the name of the schematic then. Okay. And then it's okay. So now I have them saved together.
I think this is one of my favorite symbols I've ever made.
Oh, is it supposed to be like that? Oh, it just did continuously the line over and over again. That's why.
Yeah.
You can name that one COVID.
Almost. Okay, so yeah, the .asc and .asy file are in the same place with the same name.
Okay, and if you open a new schematic and save it to that same folder, then you'll be able to see that symbol. So
inside of so if I now go to new component, go to the folder. Okay, I see the thing. Oh yeah, and it has the 3 pins. Cool.
And there's one other way you can, if you want to use a symbol that's in another directory, another folder, there's a way to do that too.
Yeah, it looks like, or at least I think this is in a different folder, and I was able to pull up the symbol in it.
Okay. But one other way you can do this is if you go to Tools and then Control Panel, and then go to the symbol and lib search paths.
Oh, there's this.
You
They
can,
just add paths.
yeah,
I
and then
have
you'll always
one.
have access to that path.
All right. Sweet. This is very helpful. And I finally have a CMOS that I can actually use. I don't have to recreate it every single time.
I'm
And
sorry. Oh, go ahead.
If,
Go ahead.
like for example, if I put the models inside of the symbols, those work as well, right?
Say that one more time.
Like if I put the dot model statements, the opcodes inside of the schematics, that also works.
Yeah, the problem with that was when I was doing 307 is let's say people put their path inside the symbol, like dot and Joe Schmo / something. My model file's in a different path, so I had to go into every single symbol and change it to my path.
Yeah. And then it would be just specifically this CMOS and not just a generic CMOS that you can change in any way. That makes sense. All right. Thank you.
Max, I thought the Mac people were coming tonight. They had specific questions for Mac people.
I know. I think people, I'm always jealous with how much nicer the UI is for Windows in compared to the Mac version. And I think that people, they use the Mac version for a little bit and they decide, I'm just going to dual boot my computer, set up a VMware.
It's a lot of work just to get onto not the Mac version of LTSpice.
Do you use the Mac LTSpice compatible with Mac, or do you try to do VMware, something else to make it more Windows compatible?
Well, yeah, you can dual boot your computer, or you can use set up a virtual machine to get the Windows version. But I honestly, I think once you get into the workflow of using it on Mac, it's totally fine. It's a little bit of a steep learning curve because there's not a lot of support from the developer. So
if I guess whatever questions Diego has, and then if you're willing, just because I know Mike Wilson really wanted to know how to do this, what we just did on the Mac side.
Oh, totally.
If you'd be willing to do like a tutorial on that.
100%. Yeah, I'm more than I have the time. So.
Okay, excellent. You're so nice.
No. I saw your email and I was like, oh yeah, I have so many resources now from because I remember when I was in your class and everyone else they had it on the Windows. And I was like, oh man, I really don't want to have to, because I had it originally I had it running on the virtual machine, but it was just running so slowly. And I was just like, but.
All right. Diego, did you have anything else?
I'm looking at this now. I mean, nothing that's not more of a specific 3, 4, 8 question, or not about LTSpice really, just about the circuit itself. Okay. So I'll probably just wait for the class to ask about those, if anything.
Okay.
But thanks for your help, though.
You said 348, but did you mean 347?
Sorry, 347. Yeah, the numbers, they're all the same to me.
Okay.
Bad memory. But yeah. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
I'll see you in class, Professor.
Okay. Thank you.
Max, you want to teach us how to use Macs?
I mean, if you're interested, sure.
Yeah, I know Mike, sent, a few emails about, we don't know how to make symbols and I can't answer their questions.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of hotkey stuff, and then there's a lot of weird, the Mac version doesn't have all of the UI elements, so it doesn't have that top bar of UI elements. It's pretty much just the schematic page. Okay. And so you have to and then the other thing too is if you're making the what do you call it, the analysis commands, right? You have to, and then let's say, how you can
can you share your screen and then?
Oh, yeah. Here, let me. I'll open up.
You're the star.
Let me see. Oh, here we go. Share screen. Okay. So
Well, that's so pretty.
if I open up, let's see if I open up, oh, wait, let's go. There we go. Okay. So like you can see there's like not anything to it, right? You have to, let's say, something that took me a while to figure out was like, let's say you want to set up a path, right? If you want to like link to a library or something like that, you have to first open up the.
How do you do that? How do you do that? S?
You press S on your on the keyboard,
Okay.
and then in the Spice directive, if you want to, you can't just do .include and then just put it in there and then like right click, because it just brings you back to the screen, right?
Okay.
So instead, what you have to do is you have to right click in this field and go to help me edit, and then from there you can click. So you can then like choose the different commands or choose the library that you want to include. And then let's say I want to, let's do a .lib statement. It brings up some random text. I don't know what that's all about. And you can browse, and then you can go through and then look for the specific library that you want to include with it. So yeah, it's a little bit convoluted. I don't know why exactly it's like that, but a lot of finagling. Eventually figured that out. And then as for the symbol side of it, so actually, how do I get out of this? There we go. So if I want to make a symbol, I can file, new, and then new symbol.
Okay.
And then opens up this. Can you see this here?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then it's kind of the same thing. So you can right click and then go to draw, and then you can do all the same sort of nice like I guess lines and all that stuff for the symbol itself. And then if you want to add pins, you can add pins that way.
Okay.
And the same thing applies for the Windows version where, or for the Mac version as it does with Windows, where if you want to, the symbol has to be in the same folder, and it has to be in the same directory, and it has to have the same name. And then if I go to, let's say, I have all my 307 stuff on another on my external drive. But let's say if I just save this here, let's say if I just come here and I and let's say I come here and I don't know. Let's make this an output. Oh no, let's make.
Oh, I see what you did with the current mirror.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting.
Okay, and then we can. I don't know. I didn't know about that trick with the making the symbol straight from the.
Oh, from hierarchy?
Yeah. Oh, is that how you? Oh wow. I couldn't find the street symbol show. Oh.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh wow, that's really neat. Okay. Well, if I wanted to make a prettier symbol. Wow, that's really nice. Oh, this took me a long time too, doing the inst name. I think the way, from what I remember, you do that by what's it? Oh, I forget how you have to do it from scratch. I used to the way that I would get this inst name to appear was by, I think I had one symbol that I had. You want me to go out there?
No, you can stay there. I gotta order that food.
Oh, okay.
You want long?
No, it's okay. Can I?
Oh,
Sorry, my mom was in.
Hi.
I had a symbol and I kept making duplicates of that, but
I see.
I think there's a way to. How do you do it in the Windows version? Is there I think, isn't it the attribute table that you open up?
Yeah, let me see if I can. It's like edit attributes, and you have to make it. Is it a block or a cell?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay.
I'd have to look that up.
It's a block from what I remember.
Okay. Oops. I apparently wasn't out of the drawing line modes. Now my.
Oh.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, the other nice thing about, I guess not nice thing, but I guess the best way to get really good at using Spice on the Mac is just like knowing all of the hotkeys.
Mhm.
Once you know all the hotkeys, like you kind of just whiz by doing all that. So.
Okay. Did you have a good site for the hotkeys, or did you?
Oh yeah, I have
various.
a couple. Here, I'll put the links in the. Yeah, I can do that right now. I'll put the links in the chat because where's both these?
I'll put those up on the tutorial webpage.
So that first link is the it's like a shortcut list for Mac. And then I also find this to be really useful too is this link right here. Oh, okay, sorry. Should have spaced those out.
Okay, I see it.
The bottommost link is just the an LTSpice wiki. And so instead of going through the LTSpice manual, it kind of, it spaces the information out, and it kind of, it makes it a lot easier to find exactly what you're looking for. And it's pretty well managed with the content, at least. So I find it pretty useful.
Okay. Yeah, I've been trying to use Control-C in the chat window, and it's never worked. But if I just do right-click and copy, it's happy, it looks like. Okay, cool.
Oh, on a side note, I talked to Professor Kyanis today about the VLSI class, and I gave him an update with regards to the memory, the BIST architecture that I showed you, and he mentioned the same thing that you had brought up about how it looked like an operation that would be more for like it's not meant. How do I word this?
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, like you were saying, you can't just like do the test in the middle of operation because it would erase the memory that's currently there. And so we were talking about how if we were to implement that, it would be ideally for like you boot up when you boot up the CPU, you could put it into test mode, test it, and then run the program. Or if you were experiencing some, like let's say you ran your program and you are experiencing some issues, and you suspect that it might be an issue with the memory, then you could put it into the test mode, and then that way the BIST would run. You can see if it was a memory issue or not. He was saying to be able to actually like make it so that it wouldn't erase the memory, you would have to have some way to back up that address, or what's at that address, which isn't super easy. I think I had one idea, but I wasn't sure if in concept it made sense. But my idea is the way that the BIST is currently operating is that it has a counter and it has a comparator, so it's going address by address, right? So maybe what could be done is, if you know, I don't know, I was thinking maybe if you know that you have some memory, like if you had like some memory that wasn't being used currently, you could save the current address that you're on in an open address, or you could save the memory at the current address you're on in an open slot, right? And then that way, after you've checked the output of that address, then you could reinsert the original memory, like the data that was in that original address. But I don't know if that would just like totally kill performance. So
it wouldn't so much, especially if you're doing multiple tests on a single memory address. You know, the read would take one clock cycle, and then you do your test, which maybe would take multiple clock cycles, and then you'd write it back. So the majority of the time would still be used on the test. So I think that's totally a valid way to do it.
Okay, because I'll look into some doing that. Right now, I have all of the modules written up in Verilog, and I was talking to Professor Kayanis about how would be best to set the flags that are coming from the BIST controller module to the rest of the CPU. So, and I think from our conversation, it seemed that we could either have it. I think from our conversation, it seemed like it should be done through because the control unit is split up into a what is it called? The I can't think of the name of it. Oh, what's the word? It's not a comparator. It's split up into like a decoding unit and not a decoding unit. What is it? Oh man, that's gonna bother me.
With the generating of the word lines?
No, it's the combinational logic. There we go. The control unit is split up into a combinational logic block, and then it also has the FSM block. And so I think what will end up happening is it'll just be another state within the FSM for the test itself, and then that way we could set the test flag coming from that FSM block of the OtterBox.
The OtterBox?
Of the OtterBox, my bad.
Otter. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that'd be very interesting, and but also one thing that would be, I think, add to your expertise is to figure out. So you know, when you have memory, to make sure something doesn't get destroyed if memory fails, you often put the same data in a place that's kind of far away. Because when there is a failure, it's usually like an area of memory.
Oh yeah.
So it'd be interesting to
test if
to figure out when, let's say, while the thing's running,
Mhm.
if you're going to add that functionality where you store a value at an address and then test that address.
Oh, that way you can conduct like 2 tests at once because of it. Is that what you're saying or no?
No, but just how you, it would be well, we can talk about it. I don't know if David's enjoying this. But
I'm following along.
okay.
If I can just interject for one moment, though,
Sure.
Tina,
Yes.
I really appreciate you hosting these workshops. And unfortunately, I probably engaged with the request to you too late within the quarter of, students already kind of struggling and maybe figuring out on themselves. But going forward, maybe for fall quarter, if you don't mind, maybe we can coordinate something to do more like in the beginning of the quarter where I would anticipate definitely a large interest from the classes.
Yeah, I will probably be right here.
Okay. Okay, so maybe I will drop off for the rest, but I wanted to say thank you, and thank you, Max, for showing too. And yeah, I'll look forward to something similar in the fall quarter.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Right, bye-bye. See? Oh, did you get a dog butt?
A little
Yeah.
bit, yeah.
But just if it's going to do this test while in operation, what would trigger the test? And maybe how the interrupt would work. I don't know how you would tell if some data at a particular address was wrong. But maybe that's a problem for somebody, not what you're doing. But it would be interesting to think about.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because once you've conducted the test, you've gone through all the addresses already. You're saying that you would know that there's an issue with the memory, not necessarily where specifically that issue's at.
Well, let's say your computer is operating.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a burden if every million clock cycles you tested the memory, because then your computer would freeze while you're testing the memory.
Yeah.
And any program would be paused, and then everything would look really slow. And if you're playing games, everybody would go, So if maybe the test during operation, it needs to be triggered by something. Maybe do it every billion clock cycles or something, or maybe you do it when a failure's been sensed.
Oh.
And then you have an interrupt that says, "Oh, we got to go test the memory." But I can't imagine. I can't see how you would know that some data is wrong.
Yeah, I was thinking. Yeah, see, that's the tough thing is if you wanted to implement it so that it was integrated with the program running, you would have to. Yeah, you'd have to either have you'd either have to have the CPU be able to like automatically, or not automatically, but it's almost like, I guess for lack of a better word, like autonomously like decide, oh, like I should run a test right now. Or you would have to have some sort of instruction or something within the program itself that says, oh, run a test here.
Or let's say you got a result that's not a number.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Or I don't know. You know how you get, well, I get lots of blue screens. Well, not lately. I shouldn't say that. I should not say that. But with the
knock on wood, right?
Yes, I don't have wood. But with the Surface Pro, it's always like, oh, you're trying to write outside the legal memory, address. You're trying to access an area that isn't correct, and usually that's based on some value.
Okay.
So maybe if you get a blue screen, then actually, you know what? It does test the hard drive. You know, have you ever had that happen where the blue screen and they say, well, we think it's a memory failure, and
Oh, yeah,
excuse me while I go through all the sectors?
yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, sadly, with the Surface Pro, I saw it a lot.
How is the Surface Pro?
It was really fast, but at the end, I was blue screening, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day.
Oh man.
So I was losing stuff, and I leave windows open when I have stuff to do. I leave windows open to remind me what I have to do, and I was losing those.
Oh man. Yeah, I've been thinking about getting a new laptop, and because this laptop right here has been running strong for a while now, but I feel like it's on its last leg, you know. A couple of
Do you care if it's big or little?
I don't really care that much, I guess. Just as long as it runs the software I need it to run, you know. But
Yeah, I've always had good luck with Dells.
yeah.
And when I had a Dell that failed, they
Mhm.
actually came to my house and fixed it there,
Oh wow.
like within 2 days or 1 day, something. It was quite impressive.
Pretty good customer and technical support. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that then. But so based off of the, so what do you think that would be? Would that be like based